Hey guys, so in this video I just want to talk a little bit about Zen and the brain, and that's the name of a book by James Austin. If you've ever read him, he's a very good writer, a little dense at times with the very complex scientific wording, but he's famous for his book Zen and the Brain. Um, and recently he's put up a couple dialogue interviews with Buddhist geeks. If you listen to them, they're pretty cool. And he basically talks about the science behind enlightenment, or I think the interview was called "This Is Your Brain on Meditation," and he talks about the types of attention that we use during meditation, and the I guess the more scientific descriptions of what happens during a Kensho experience and during the enlightenment experience. So a few things that stuck out for me. Um, well, to quote him, mystical experiences arise when normal functions reassemble in novel conjunctions. And what's that really mean? Well, uh, to me, that really meant that we rewire our brain. If we think differently and we intentionally focus on a new way of thinking or a different way of thinking, our brains change physically as well as our psychological state of mind. You know, the inner and the outer, the within of things and the without of things. So I found this to be a great little insight. Among many other things, he talks about two types of attention, and the first being top-down, which is what we use in analytical thinking, but we also use this in introspection and meditation, where we analyze and look at ourselves. We pay attention to and direct attention to something. So it's literally like being up here and looking down on our bodies and our minds and our thoughts and our feelings, and we try to understand it that way. And that's sort of about insight meditation. Who am I? What am I? And then there's another type of attention that we have that is more imminent and much more not really about choice or intent or breaking down of, but a bottom up attention. So we have a top down and a bottom up attention, and they're both used in meditation. But what I thought was interesting is that during Kensho or during a Satori experience or not any kind of spiritual experience, we often don't have the same kind of control that we do during top-down attention. Or in other words, it's spontaneous, it's not directed, and it's almost like an outpouring of a new understanding. And that is much more like a bottom-up sort of attention thing going on. It reminds me very much of Mushin, or no mind, which is a martial arts term for the most part, when you are at a point in your training where you can just act out without thinking but being one with your opponent and moving with them. This is said to be no minding, or mushin, and this is sort of, it really is not making yourself into an instinctive machine that just reacts, but actually flowing with the moment and acting in a way that's not choice, but it's not limited either. It's very free, open, liberating, choiceless awareness, I guess you could say. And that, interestingly enough, as Austin is saying, is a primary thing that happens um, or is connected to enlightenment experiences when we're in that state. So I find it interesting how these two components of meditation, top-down and bottom-up, he mentioned, are very useful for whatever practice we have. But eventually, when it comes down to the transformative event, it's bottom-up, it's spontaneous, it's natural, it's without choice. And this very much reminds me of a quick little quote by B. Allen Wallace when he says, when he's commenting on the nature of free will from a Buddhist perspective, and he asks, who is it there is to be free? And on that note, I think I'll end this video and get your thoughts and your responses on this subject. If you have knowledge yourself of enlightenment and neuroscience and how the two converge and what we can learn from this convergence, please post a response video or leave a comment, but particularly post a response video. The more information, the more dialogue about this, the better. Thanks for listening.